The moment I saw him standing there, smiling like he hadn't destroyed my life, I felt my knees go weak. It's strange how a single breath, just one, can carry the weight of a whole lifetime. I remember gripping the edge of the pew, so tightly my fingers cramped. The church smelled of lilies and old hymn books, and gospel music hummed softly through the speakers, but none of that mattered. Because there he was. My husband. No, the man who used to be my husband, dressed in a crisp navy suit like he belonged somewhere holy. His hand rested on the small of a woman's back. And not just any woman. My best friend. The same woman who cried with me when he left 3 months ago. The same woman who swore she'd help me track him down. The same woman standing now at the altar, ready to say, I do. My heart didn't break. No, heartbreak is too gentle a word. It fractured like glass under a steel boot. 3 months of silence. 3 months of empty side of the bed. 3 months of, we're still looking for him, ma'am, from the police. And now there he was, laughing, breathing, living, with my money in his pocket and my best friend on his arm. I should have screamed. I should have collapsed. But instead, I inhaled deeply, slow, steady, the way my mama always taught me when life tried to drown me. My palm slid over the small envelope in my purse, the one I brought as a wedding card, though its true purpose was far heavier. I didn't come here to start a fight, but I also didn't come here to stay quiet. And before the ceremony was over, everybody in this room was going to know exactly who that man really was. Before everything went sideways, my life wasn't perfect, no one's is, but it was steady, soft, peaceful. I worked as a nurse in a small community clinic in Atlanta. Most days smelled of antiseptic and cocoa butter from the hand lotion we all shared. My patients called me Miss Ray, short for Raylene. I liked the name. It sounded warm, familiar. And back then, going home felt the same. My husband, Marcus, wasn't flashy or loud. That's what drew me to him in the first place. He was calm water in a world full of storms. He'd come home from his job at the auto shop smelling of motor oil and mint gum, give me a kiss on my forehead, and ask, "How was your day, baby?" We weren't rich, but we were building toward something. Saving for something. Dreaming of something. Every Friday night, we sat at the small round table in our kitchen, the one we bought from a thrift store, and went through our budget. It became a tradition. He'd make us sweet tea with lemon slices, and I'd light the vanilla candle that made the whole room smell like dessert. We'd plan our future in ink and soft laughter. I had about $42,000 saved. Not inherited, not gifted, earned. Shift by shift. Night by night. Patient by patient. I was planning to open a home care business for seniors. Something small but meaningful. Marcus always said, "I'm proud of you, Ray. You're gonna make something big." And I believed him. I believed everything he said. We didn't have children, not because we couldn't, but because life kept pushing the decision forward. And honestly, I thought we had time. Plenty of it. My best friend, Tasha, was the sister I never had. We met sophomore year of high school when she punched a bully for picking on me. She was bold, loud, sharp as a tack, and she always said, "Ray, girl, you're too soft for this world. Good thing you got me." We went from braiding each other's hair before school to standing beside one another through funerals, promotions, and heartbreaks. She knew every detail of my relationship, every joy, every frustration, every fear. If someone asked me who I trusted most in this world, I would have said, my husband and my best friend. Funny how life flips its own script sometimes. The first sign something was wrong came quietly, not with shouting or slammed doors, but with a change in Marcus's breathing. I noticed it on a Tuesday night. I was folding laundry in the living room, and he was on the couch, staring at nothing. His chest rose too fast, too shallow, like he was holding something heavy inside. "Baby, you good?" I asked. He blinked, startled, and forced a smile so tight it hurt to look at. Yeah, just tired." But he didn't reach for my hand like he usually did. He didn't pull me onto the couch to cuddle. He didn't even turn the TV on. He just sat there, staring at a spot on the wall I couldn't see. Another clue. He stopped bringing his pay stubs home. He said the shop switched to digital. Fine, believable, but when I asked to see them so I could update our budget, he said, "I'll show you later." Later never came. Then he started guarding his phone like it was a newborn baby. Always face down. Always on silent. Always in his pocket. Even in the shower. I remember one morning reaching for it by mistake thinking it was mine. The way he snatched it. The way his face drained of color. The way he whispered, "Ray, don't, please don't." That whisper haunted me. But I told myself marriage was about trust. People go through things. Maybe money was tight at the shop. Maybe he was embarrassed. Maybe he was planning a surprise for our anniversary. But deep down, something sour began pooling in my stomach. Then came the night he didn't come home. He called around 2 a.m., voice shaky. Sorry, baby. Staying at the shop late. Long job. Marcus never stuttered. Not once in 6 years of marriage. I remember lying awake, listening to the hum of our refrigerator, thinking, something is coming. Something I'm not ready for. I didn't know then just how big that storm would be. I discovered the truth the way you discover a leak in your ceiling, slowly, then all at once. It started with a text message. Not one I saw on his phone. One I got on mine. From my bank. Withdrawal confirmed, $12,000. I froze. My hands went numb. I hadn't authorized anything. I called the bank immediately. Yes, ma'am. The woman said politely. The withdrawal was made in person by your husband. He's listed on the account. I never added him. I whispered. Ma'am. She replied gently. The authorization was added last month. And that was only the beginning. Because $12,000 was just what he took that day. When I asked for a full statement, my body went cold. A series of withdrawals. Over weeks. Bit by bit. $500 here, $2,000 there. Until my entire savings, every dollar I bled and sacrificed for, was gone. And the signature on the authorization form? It was my handwriting. Or rather, a shaky, twisted imitation of it. A forgery. He stole from me. He betrayed me. He left me. And by that night, he had disappeared completely. 3 months. No calls. No messages. No closure. Just empty drawers, empty promises, and an empty bank account. The police officer who took my report looked at me the way people look at someone whose house just burned down. Sad, helpless, unsure what to say next. Ma'am, I'm sorry, but this happens sometimes, he said quietly, almost like he didn't want the other officers to hear. Spouses disappearing with money. It's considered a civil matter unless you can prove fraud. I can prove it, I insisted, slamming the printed bank statements on the metal desk between us. These aren't my signatures. That's not how I write my R. Look closely. My voice cracked, and my throat tightened. Please. He frowned sympathetically, but still shook his head. You'll need a handwriting expert or a lawyer. Without it, it's hard. Hard. That word annoyed me. Life for me had always been hard, but I still stood up every day. That word annoyed me. Life for me had always been hard, but I still stood up every day. I left the station with a file folder full of shame. Shame for trusting him. Shame for ignoring the signs. Shame for letting love blind me. At home, everything screamed his name. The dent on his pillow. The half-empty cologne bottle on the dresser. His jacket still hanging on the back of the kitchen chair like he'd be back any minute. I sat on the floor of our bedroom, hugging my knees, trying to breathe. The silence was so loud it hurt. I called Tasha first, because she was my person, my anchor. When she picked up, her voice was rushed. Girl, I'm in the middle of something. You okay? I swallowed hard. He's gone, Tash. Marcus stole my savings. A pause. Too long. Too still. Then she said softly, Oh, Ray. I'm so sorry. Men can be something else. Her tone fell off, like she was reading from a script. But I was too shattered to think straight. She said, Come over. We'll figure this out. And for a while, she acted like a real friend. She listened. She hugged me. She helped me fill out forms. She brought food when I was too crushed to cook. But sometimes there were slips, moments that didn't sit right. Like when she said, maybe he left because he felt pressured by the savings thing. Or, some men get scared when women get ahead. Or, maybe it's for the best. Maybe he wasn't the one. I brushed those comments aside, thinking she was just trying to help me cope. But now I realized she was laying bricks, slow, subtle, guilty little bricks, on a road she never wanted me to walk down. A road she thought I'd never discover. A month passed. I hired a private investigator. Old school, quiet, no-nonsense man named Mr. Reeves. He had a gray mustache and eyes that looked like they had seen every human sin and learned not to flinch. We'll find him, he promised. Men who run? They think they're clever. They rarely are. He wasn't cheap, but I paid with my last bit of emergency savings. Anything to stop feeling like a fool. Weeks went by with no luck. He traced Marcus's trail to Nashville, then it went cold. He bought burner phones, Reeves muttered one day, flipping through his notes. This was planned. Planned. That word burned. You don't accidentally steal $42,000. You don't accidentally disappear. You don't accidentally change your number, quit your job, and empty your wife's life savings. You plan. You choose. You leave. One afternoon, Reeves called, sounding frustrated. Mrs. Harris, your husband wasn't acting alone. The air in my lungs froze. What do you mean? He had help. Someone wired money to a prepaid card for him 3 times before he left. Someone local. Someone who knew your routines. My heart thudded. Who was it? We're still tracing the card, but I have a strong suspicion. I braced myself. Then the next day, everything shifted. Tasha showed up at my apartment with sparkling eyes and a wide smile. Girl, she squealed. I'm getting married. I blinked, stunned. Married? To who? When? She waved her left hand like it weighed gold bricks. A diamond ring sparkled on her finger. His name's Mike. We've been seeing each other quietly for a few months. A few months. My stomach tightened. When I asked why she hadn't told me, she said, I didn't want to rub my happiness in your face while you were hurting. We hugged, but her arms felt stiff around me, like she was hugging out of obligation, not love. She invited me to the wedding. Front row. VIP. Because you're my sister, Ray. But when I asked to meet this Mike before the big day, she changed the subject. 3 times. That night, I sat on my balcony with a cup of lukewarm tea, staring at the city lights. Something gnawed at me. Why so fast? Why so secret? Why did the timing line up exactly with Marcus disappearing? I pushed those thoughts away, because expecting betrayal from your best friend feels like wishing death on a piece of your own heart. But 2 days later, Reeves called again. We found him, he said. My hands shook. Marcus. Yes. And, Mrs. Harris, you need to brace yourself. I closed my eyes. Tell me. There's a wedding happening in Atlanta this Saturday. Your husband will be there. With someone very close to you. My teacup slipped from my hand and shattered. But the real shatter happened inside my chest. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't break anything. Instead, I went very still. The kind of stillness that comes before a storm hits. I asked Reeves, are you sure? I staked my career on it. I thanked him, hung up, and sat in silence for a long time. The wedding. Tasha's wedding. A groom no one had met. A groom she hid from me. A wedding she rushed. A wedding where she looked happier than any woman I'd ever seen. I opened her wedding invitation again. The gold borders looked like mocking laughter now. I stared at the printed groom's name. Michael Johnson. Generic. Easy to fake. Too easy. I suddenly heard Marcus's voice in my memory. I used Michael on the paperwork. It's cleaner. My heart dropped. I stood, straightened my shoulders, pulled my hair into a tight bun, and whispered, okay, if he wants an audience, he'll get one. I printed the bank statements, the forged signatures, the police report, everything. I placed them into a cream-colored envelope and wrote Tasha's name on front. I didn't know exactly how I would confront them.
Not then.
But I knew one thing. I wouldn't let my story end in silence. And I damn sure wasn't going to let my life thief exchange vows without the truth standing right in front of him. The morning of the wedding felt strangely calm, like the universe was holding its breath for me. I ironed a simple navy blue dress. Not too flashy. Not too dull. Just enough to let me blend in until it was time not to blend in anymore. My hands were steady. My heartbeat not so much. As I drove to the venue, a beautiful, glass-walled event center in downtown Atlanta, I rehearsed what I needed to say. Not to hurt, not to humiliate, but to reveal. Black people filled the parking lot in elegant gowns and sharp suits. Women adjusted their fascinators. Men slapped each other's backs, laughing loudly. Children ran around with little white corsages pinned to their chests. Everything smelled like roses, cocoa butter, and excitement. I should have felt out of place. But strangely, I felt centered, balanced, like truth was guiding my feet. Inside, the hall was breathtaking. White drapes hung from the ceiling like waterfalls. Soft jazz played in the background. Candles flickered on every table. And then I saw her.
Tasha.
My best friend. My sister in everything but blood. A woman I trusted with every part of my life. She stood near the altar in a white silk robe, her makeup flawless, her hair in a soft, curled-up do. She looked beautiful, radiant.
Dishonest.
Her eyes widened when she spotted me. "Ray," she exclaimed, rushing over to hug me. "You made it." Her perfume smelled like vanilla and guilt. "You look incredible," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. She smiled with a wobble. "I'm so glad you're here." But her eyes kept darting away, like she was scared I'd look too closely at her face and see the truth hiding there. "Can I meet the groom?" I asked lightly.
Oh.
"He's still, getting ready," she stuttered. "You'll see him soon." The lie slid out too quickly. Then something even more surreal happened. Her mother, Mama Gwen, pulled me aside. "Ray, baby," she said gently, squeezing my hand. "Be easy on her today, okay? She's been through a lot." "Through a lot? Tasha?" I almost laughed. "What do you mean?" I asked. The older woman hesitated. Just know she didn't mean for everything to happen this way." My breath caught. So Mama Gwen knew something. Something big. But before I could question her, the music changed. People started moving toward the seats. The wedding was about to begin. I took a seat near the back, where I could see everything. The bridesmaids floated down the aisle first, lavender dresses rustling softly as they walked. Everyone's faces glowed with joy. Except mine. I kept scanning the side door where the groom would enter from. My stomach curled tight. Then the pianist paused, and a hush fell over the room. The groom walked in, and my entire world stopped. Marcus. My husband. The man who vanished. The man who stole my savings. The man I searched for while he pretended to be dead to me. He stood there in a fitted charcoal suit, smiling like a man in love. Like a man with no regrets. Like a man who had never destroyed a life. My breath left my body. My hands went cold. I stood up slowly, my chair scraping loudly across the floor. People turned. Whispers spread like wildfire. Marcus's eyes met mine. I watched the color drain out of his face, so fast it looked like someone pulled a plug on him. Tasha, who was about to walk in next, froze at the entrance. Her smile collapsed. Her bouquet trembled in her hands. Marcus stumbled back a step. "Ray," he croaked, voice cracking loud enough that the first 3 rows heard it. My anger didn't come in a scream. It quieted me, sharpened me, made my voice soft and steady. "Hello, Marcus," I said. The entire hall gasped. Tasha's bridesmaids looked confused. Guests murmured. Mama Gwen pressed both hands to her mouth. I walked toward the front slowly, each step echoing like thunder. "I see you're alive," I whispered, my voice carrying across the hall. "That's good to know." Marcus's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Tasha, I said, turning toward her. Are you marrying him? Tasha burst into tears instantly. Ray, please, I can explain. Oh, I know you can, I replied. I just want to hear what version of the story you'll choose today. The pastor looked like he wanted to teleport out of the building. Ray, Marcus pleaded, sweat gathering on his forehead. Please, please don't do this here. Why not? I asked, raising the cream-colored envelope in my hand. You weren't worried about here when you forged my signature and emptied my bank account.
Gasps.
A woman in the second row dropped her program. A man whispered, Lord Jesus. Marcus lunged toward me, whisper shouting, let's talk outside. But I stepped back.
No.
We'll talk right here. Since you wanted an audience for the biggest day of your life, I thought you deserved one for mine. The room fell completely silent. Even the candles seemed to stop flickering. I opened the envelope, pulled out the bank statements, and held them up. This is my savings account, I said. All $42,000.
Gone.
Withdrawn in the span of 3 days. Signatures forged. I looked straight at Tasha. And these wires sent to a prepaid card. By someone who knew my routines. Someone who had access to my house. Someone who sat with me while I cried over the missing money. Tasha collapsed onto a chair, sobbing uncontrollably. Her mascara streaked down her face like black tears. I'm sorry, she choked out. I'm sorry, Ray. I didn't mean for you to find out like this. Find out like this? I repeated, laughing softly. Honey, the truth doesn't care about your timing. Marcus fell to his knees. Literally. On his knees. In front of everyone. Please, Ray, he begged. I was gonna come back.
I swear.
I needed the money. And Tasha, she convinced me it'd be temporary. People gasped again. Someone muttered, Lord have mercy. Not this mess today. Tasha screamed, Marcus, don't you dare put this on me. You loved me first. You said you were trapped with her. My stomach twisted. There it was. The real betrayal. They weren't just thieves. They were lovers. My husband. My best friend. Planning a wedding with money stolen from me. The fire alarm could have gone off and nobody would have noticed. The room was already burning. I folded the papers back into the envelope and looked Marcus dead in the eyes. I didn't come here to take you back, I said softly. I just came so you wouldn't lie your way into another life. The entire room erupted, shouts, gasps, people standing, phones coming out. I turned to leave. But before I reached the exit, Mama Gwen grabbed my hand. Baby, she whispered, eyes full of sorrow. You just freed yourself. And, for the first time in months, I believed her. The things we know when we can no longer pretend. I didn't sleep that night.
I didn't even try.
I sat on the edge of my bed like a woman who was suddenly too afraid to lie down, too afraid to close her eyes, too afraid to dream. Because what if the dream reminded me of the life I thought I had? My hands were cold. My thoughts were hot. And the silence in my room suddenly felt louder than any argument I'd ever had in my life. It's a strange thing. When the truth finally lands, not softly, but like a stone thrown straight through your chest, your mind doesn't process it all at once.
No.
It comes in waves. First disbelief, then denial, then the slow, choking realization that nothing is the same anymore. That night, all 3 waves hit me over and over again. I kept hearing their voices. His laugh. Her whisper. My own mind was torturing me with echoes I didn't ask for. Every time I blinked, I saw the 2 of them together, not physically, but in the secret way 2 people look at each other when they think no one is watching. A look I used to think belonged only to me. I held my pillow tightly against my chest and whispered into it.
Why?
Why would you do this to me? But of course, pillows don't answer. Cheaters don't confess out of guilt. And friends who betray you pretend they're innocent even while standing in your doorway barefoot with your happiness in their hands. I kept replaying the day, every detail. The way my husband paused before answering anything involving her. The way she smiled too casually when his name came up. The way the air in the room felt heavy when they were both present. I didn't want to believe it. But my heart wouldn't let me lie to myself anymore. Some truths sit quietly in the corner of your mind for months, waiting. But when they stand up, when they finally speak, they roar. And the truth was roaring inside me. Around 3 a.m., I realized something painful. I wasn't just heartbroken. I was grieving. Not grieving him. Not grieving her. But grieving the version of myself that trusted too easily. Loved too loudly. Believed too strongly in the goodness of people who never deserved my softness. I sat there for a long time, just breathing, trying not to fall apart. But sometimes falling apart is the only honest thing we can do. When the sun finally rose, I didn't feel rested. I felt hollow, like someone had scooped something out of me and left the space to echo. Morning light filled my room, but nothing about me felt bright. I dragged myself to the mirror. My eyes were swollen. My face looked like it had aged overnight. And for the first time in my life, I didn't recognize the woman staring back at me. She looked tired. She looked wounded. She looked like someone who finally understood a truth she never wanted to know. And I whispered to her, "You deserved better. But now you also know better." And knowing better hurts. But it also awakens you. That morning I decided one thing. I wasn't going to react with anger. I wasn't going to scream or throw things or confront anyone yet.
No.
I was going to observe. Quietly.
Carefully.
Like a woman who has finally removed her blindfold and can see everything clearly for the first time.
Because now
I needed proof, not for them, but for me. Proof that my instincts weren't crazy. Proof that my heartbreak wasn't imagination. Proof that the two people I loved most were hiding the one thing that could destroy me. And, trust me, when a woman decides to watch instead of cry, something dangerous begins. And something unstoppable awakens. When silence becomes a weapon, I moved through the next day like a ghost wearing my body. I spoke when spoken to. I smiled when required. I acted normal, almost too normal, because I needed him to believe I was still blind, still trusting, still the woman who never suspects anything. Inside, though? Inside I was sharp. Awake. Listening to every breath, every pause, every shift in his tone. Because the truth is, when you're hurt, you cry. But when you're betrayed, you observe. And that morning, I became a student of his every move. I watched him the way detectives watch suspects. Not accusing. Not angry. Just present. He walked around the house avoiding eye contact more than usual. His phone stayed face down always. He showered longer. He dressed a little nicer than the day demanded. Little details. Tiny details. Insignificant to a normal woman, but everything to a woman who knows something is wrong. A man who has nothing to hide is transparent. A man who is hiding something becomes a magician, always distracting you with one hand while the other hand disappears behind his back. I spoke softly to him, and he jumped. Just a simple question. Did you sleep well? He startled like I had accused him of murder. He forced a smile, one side of his mouth higher than the other, a smile that didn't touch his eyes. He said, Yeah, I slept fine. You? I slept okay. I lied. He swallowed too hard. His throat bobbed like guilt lived there. And for the first time, I realized something painful. He wasn't looking at me like a wife. He was looking at me like a threat. And a woman can feel that. In her bones. Later that afternoon, I tested him.
Just a small test.
I asked casually, Have you heard from her today? Her. As in my friend. The one my heart no longer trusted anywhere near him. He froze. Just for a fraction of a second. But that tiny pause told me more than any full confession ever could. Then he said too quickly, No. Why?
Why?
Men who cheat love that question. Because it shifts suspicion from them to you, making you feel silly for even asking. But I answered calmly. No reason. Just wondering. And oh, the relief that flashed across his face. He thought he'd escaped a trap. He didn't realize I was just placing the first one. Later, I checked her social media. Nothing. Empty. Quiet. But quiet is suspicious when the person is usually loud. People who are guilty don't post quotes. They don't upload selfies. They don't show their faces.
Why?
Because guilt ages you. Guilt silences you. Guilt makes you hide. Especially when you're not sure if the person you betrayed already knows. And she must have felt it. Women can sense tension even through a phone screen. The strangest part? I wasn't angry. Not yet. Anger is loud. Anger is wild. What I felt was colder. A soft, dangerous calm that comes when you've cried everything out and now you're thinking.
Deeply. Strategically. Silently.
This wasn't just about heartbreak anymore. It was about clarity. It was about knowing exactly who the two of them were when they thought I wasn't looking. That night, I lay awake again, but this time was different. I wasn't drowning. I was planning. I was replaying every moment from the past few months, fitting puzzle pieces together like a woman finally ready to see the whole picture. Every time he laughed too loudly when she joked. Every time she complimented him a little too boldly. Every time he defended her unnecessarily. Every time she needed his advice. My instincts weren't paranoia. They were prophecy. And I whispered into the dark. Thank you, God, for showing me what I refused to see. Because sometimes the truth doesn't destroy you. Sometimes it saves you. By morning, I knew exactly what I had to do. Not confront. Not accuse. Just watch a little more. Wait a little longer. And let the truth reveal itself, fully, completely, undeniably, until they couldn't hide it anymore. Because a guilty person always slips. Always. And when they do, I will be standing there, not confused, not broken, but ready. Ready to face whatever truth they thought I was too blind to see. When God wants you to see, He removes every shadow. The next few days felt like walking through a house where all the lights had suddenly been turned on. Nothing hidden. Nothing subtle. Every small thing stood out to me with painful clarity, almost like God Himself had taken a highlighter and circled every red flag I'd once ignored. And, trust me, I had ignored many. On the third day, something shifted. My husband started acting nervous. Not nervous like a man with a deadline. Not nervous like a man with stress. Nervous like a man waiting for a bomb he planted to explode. He hovered around me more than usual, offering help, making small talk, asking if I needed anything. Almost like he was trying to check the temperature of the room. Trying to see if I knew. Trying to see if I suspected. Trying to see if the guilt on his face was visible. But guilt is always visible, especially to the woman you betrayed. His eyes avoided mine. His hand shook slightly when he held his phone. And every time it buzzed, he would angle it away from me like the screen held a secret with my name written in sharp letters. I didn't react. Not a word. Not a sigh. Just watched. Quietly. Like a woman gathering evidence with her silence. Then something happened with her. My friend. Or the woman I used to call my friend. She started behaving strangely too, as if the universe had suddenly pressed her guilt to the surface. She sent me a long, overly sweet message. Hey love, just checking on you. Haven't heard from you. Hope you're good. Haven't heard from me. As if betrayal deserves communication. As if women with clean hands worry this much about distance. I stared at the message for 5 whole minutes, my fingers still, my breath steady. You only panic when you think you've been discovered. And she was panicking. I simply replied, I'm fine, thank you.
Short. Soft.
Cold enough to sting. She didn't respond after that. Silence speaks louder than words when a guilty heart reads it. But the real confirmation came later that evening. Not through words. Not through messages. Through behavior. I stepped into the living room quietly and I saw him sitting on the couch, phone in his hand. The screen lit up his face. He didn't hear me at first. But I heard him. I heard the small, anxious exhale he released when the phone vibrated. I saw the way he unlocked it with trembling fingers. I watched as he typed something, short, quick, familiar, then deleted it, retyped it, deleted again. That hesitation. That is love mixed with fear. Lust mixed with caution. Desire wrapped in guilt. A married man doesn't hesitate to text another woman unless the message matters more than it should. I stepped closer, softly, not to catch him, but to confirm myself. His shoulders jerked when he sensed me behind him. He locked the phone instantly. Too fast. Too defensive. Too guilty. He turned and forced a smile. The same mismatched, glued-together smile he'd been wearing since the truth started leaking out of him. "You scared me," he laughed nervously. I smiled back, gently, politely. But inside, something inside me said, "There it is. That's the moment. What you've been feeling is real." That night, I made another decision. Not out of anger. Not out of revenge. Out of clarity. I was done crying. Done doubting myself. Done shrinking my instincts to protect other people's secrets. The truth had already walked into my house. Sat on my couch. Held my husband's phone. Now, it was just waiting for me to acknowledge it. So I whispered to myself in the darkness. It's time. Not time to confront. Not time to explode. But time to prepare. Prepare for the moment their lies trip over each other. Prepare for the moment the guilt becomes too heavy for them to carry. Prepare for the moment when everything they tried to hide becomes impossible to bury. Because God has a strange way of exposing things. He lets the guilty think they're safe. He gives them rope. He gives them space. And then, when they least expect it, he turns the light on. And everything shows. The moment their secrets started talking without their mouths. The next morning, the air in the house felt different. Still.
Stiff.
Like the calm before a storm nobody thinks is coming, except me. I woke up earlier than him, and for a few minutes I lay there quietly, watching the way he slept. Or tried to sleep. His breathing wasn't deep, peaceful, or rhythmic. It was shallow, uneven. The kind of breathing that belongs to a man wrestling with a truth he won't speak. Sometimes you don't need confessions. You just need to watch. The body tells on the heart before the mouth ever does. When he woke up, his guilt woke up with him. He stretched a little too dramatically, yawned a little too loud, kissed my forehead a little too tenderly, like a man trying to sprinkle sugar over something bitter. "Morning," he murmured. His voice shook.
Barely.
But I heard it. I responded with a soft morning, keeping my tone warm, the same way a detective stays calm while observing a suspect. Not to punish him. Not yet. But to study him. Then came the next sign, the phone call he didn't take. Around 9 a.m., while I was washing dishes, his phone started ringing from the dining table. Not a normal ring. A video call. The screen lit up with a name I knew too well. Tisha. My best friend. My almost sister. The girl who once stayed in my house when her world fell apart. The same woman sending sweet checkup texts 3 nights in a row. My hands froze in the sink. I didn't touch the phone. Didn't move toward it. I just watched it vibrate across the wood, buzzing like a guilty conscience. He rushed out of the bedroom, towel around his waist, dripping water on the floor. When he saw the name, he stopped abruptly. Heart in his throat. Eyes wide. He didn't answer it. He didn't decline it either. He just stared at it like a man staring at a snake he used to pet. I spoke quietly from the sink. "You're not going to answer?" He froze.
Completely.
Then hurried forward, grabbed the phone, flipped it face down and muttered, "It's nothing, wrong number." Wrong number. A video call from the woman who used to send me flowers on my birthday. I said nothing. Not a single question. And that scared him more than any confrontation could. Later that day, she called me, as if guilt was ringing through every direction. I was folding laundry when my phone buzzed. Tisha calling. Normally, I pick up on the first ring. This time, I let it ring twice. Just enough silence to make her nervous. When I answered, she sounded too cheerful, too breathy, too eager. "Hey girl,
I was just thinking about you."
you good?" Her voice cracked on that last part.
Just slightly.
"I'm fine," I said. Quiet. Neutral. Controlled. There was a long pause, one she didn't expect. She rushed to fill it. We should hang out soon. Maybe brunch? I miss you. Miss me. Yet calling my husband at 9 a.m. I didn't address it. I didn't accuse her. I didn't even hint. I just said, "You've been calling a lot lately." Silence. Not long. Just long enough for truth to panic. Then she gave a shaky laugh, too forced to feel natural.
Yeah.
I just wanted to check in. Life is crazy. Life is crazy. That's what people say when the lie is sitting in their throat and won't go down. I appreciate it, I said softly. But my tone was no longer familiar to her. She noticed. Her breath shifted. She suddenly sounded small, unsure, careful. "Are you mad at me or something?" she asked quietly. When guilty people don't know what you know, they fear everything. "No," I answered truthfully. "I'm not mad."
Not yet.
Just awake. Very awake. But the real unraveling happened that evening. It was around 8 p.m., and he was already on edge, pacing a little, checking his phone every few minutes, sighing into his palms like a man rehearsing a confession he didn't have the courage to make. I sat on the couch, pretending to watch a cooking show, my mind as still as a lake. Still but deep. Then he walked over and sat beside me, too close, too attentive, too eager to read my mood. "You okay?" he asked. I turned to him slowly. "I'm okay."
Why?
He swallowed. His throat bobbed hard. "Just making sure." He studied my face like he was searching for cracks. Guilt makes even kindness look suspicious. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then his phone lit up again. A message. From her. Face down or not, I recognized the vibration pattern. The custom one he once told me was for work. He snatched it up immediately. Too quick. And that was when I saw it. Not the message, but the reflection of his own panic in the black mirror of his phone screen. His hands shook. His eyes darted. His lips pressed tight. Not a man protecting privacy. A man managing damage. And then he slipped. Just a small word. A slip so tiny most wives would miss it. But intuition has perfect hearing. He muttered under his breath. "Not now, Tisha. Not now. Not now." A married man doesn't schedule emotions with another woman. He looked up and met my eyes, realizing too late that he'd said it out loud. His whole face drained of its color, like he'd finally heard his own guilt come out of his mouth.
I didn't react. Didn't blink. Didn't ask.
His fear filled the silence, all by itself. He stuttered. I meant, I was just, it's nothing, Ray. Just someone from. It's fine, I said calmly, and watched terror settle into his features. Because when a woman stops questioning, she's already seen the truth. She's already preparing her exit. Her strategy. Her heartbeat has changed. He felt it. In my quiet. In my stillness. And that was the moment everything truly began to unravel. Not with shouting. Not with accusations. But with one whisper from his own lips that told the whole story. "Not now, Tisha." God didn't need me to investigate. He just needed me to listen. The day I finally allowed the truth to speak out loud, after that tiny slip, that quiet, trembling whisper of "not now, Tisha," something inside me settled. Not broken. Not shattered. Just settled. Like a puzzle finally showing the picture it had been forming the whole time, even while I tried to pretend the pieces didn't fit the way they did. That night was the first time in weeks I slept deeply. Not because I was happy, but because the confusion was gone. And clarity, painful as it is, can be gentler than the lies we cling to. The next morning, I woke up with a different kind of strength. A quiet one. A steady one. The kind of strength women discover only after betrayal has wrung them dry and left them with nothing but truth. I cooked breakfast like I always did, but I didn't move around him. I moved through the room. Gracefully.
Calmly.
Unbothered. He kept watching me with that skittish look, waiting for the explosion he knew he deserved. But I wasn't an explosion. I was an earthquake.
Silent. Slow.
But shifting everything under his feet. When a woman stops reacting, reality becomes the loudest sound in the room. Later that day, I got dressed and left the house.
Didn't announce it.
Didn't explain. I just walked out with my purse and keys, leaving him staring at the door like a child afraid his guardian wouldn't come back. But I wasn't running. I was reclaiming something. My voice, my dignity, my choices. I drove to a quiet cafe on the south side, when I used to love before life became so tangled. A small place with warm yellow lights, gospel music playing in the background, and the smell of cinnamon that always reminded me of my mama's kitchen. I sat in the back booth, sipped a chai latte, and breathed. Really breathed. For the first time in a long time, my mind wasn't crowded. It was focused.
Clear.
And in that moment, I made a decision. I would confront this, but I would do it on neutral ground, without shouting, without falling apart, with dignity. Because dignity hurts your enemies more than anger ever will. I called him, my husband. He picked up on the first ring, voice tight, scared, too polite. Ray, you okay? Where are you? I'm fine, I said simply. I need you to meet me somewhere. A pause. Where? The Blue Lantern Cafe. 30 minutes. He exhaled, a shaky sound, like he'd been holding his breath all morning. Okay. I'll be there. He didn't ask why. Men already know why when the truth has been holding its breath in a marriage. He arrived before I expected. I saw him through the glass window, pacing outside, rubbing his palms together, wiping sweat off his forehead, even though the day wasn't hot. When he stepped inside, his eyes scanned the room until they found mine. He walked over slowly, like he was approaching a verdict. He sat down across from me, didn't touch my hands, didn't lean forward, just sat, waiting for a sentence he'd already heard from God. I broke the silence gently. Do you love her? He blinked hard. His mouth opened.
Closed.
Opened again. Ray, I don't, it's not. I lifted one hand.
Calm. Soft.
He stopped rambling. I'm not asking for a performance, I said quietly. Just the truth. He swallowed. His throat trembled. She means something to me. I won't lie. Every bone in my body stung. Not cracked, just stung. But I didn't flinch. And my money? I asked. That question hit him harder than the first. He looked down, unable to meet my eyes. That was a mistake. I was going through something, Ray. I didn't know how to tell you. You thought I wouldn't find out, I said, finishing for him. He looked up quickly, eyes wet. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I gave a small, sad smile. But you did. Right there, that moment, something shifted in him. Not guilt, not regret. Fear. Real fear. Not fear of losing me, but fear of losing the version of me that held him together. So now what? He asked. His voice small, broken in a way he caused himself. I looked at him. Really looked. This man wasn't the man I married. He wasn't even the man I fought to protect. He was a man who had been standing next to me while slowly building another life behind my back. And I realized something. I couldn't save him from the choices he made. And he couldn't save this marriage from the truth he created. I want my money back, I said, calm as water. He nodded quickly, almost too quickly. I'll work on it. I'll get it back, I promise. And after that, I want space. His face crumpled. Ray, please don't do this. I can fix it, I swear. You can't fix something you broke on purpose, I said softly. He covered his face with both hands, shaking. But I didn't reach out to comfort him. That time was over.
His tears were his own now.
I stood up. Not dramatically. Not angrily. Just ready. He grabbed my wrist gently, desperately. Baby, please don't leave me. I looked down at his hands. The same hands that once held my dreams, and later held my money and my friend, and lies he wasn't strong enough to confess. I'm not leaving, I said gently. But I'm stepping back. Why? He whispered. Because you taught me to. His eyes widened. I slowly slipped my wrist out of his grip. Then I walked out of the cafe, letting the bell above the door ring behind me. A soft, final sound. And for the first time since this whole thing began, I felt light. Not healed. Not whole. But free. Free enough to start choosing myself again. Reclaiming my life. One step at a time. After that day at the cafe, I felt like a woman waking up from a long, suffocating nightmare. The weight on my chest, that invisible pressure of betrayal, lies, and stolen money, was still there, but it had shifted. It was no longer heavy in a way that crushed me. It was heavy enough to remind me I had survived it. I took a deep breath, opened my eyes, and decided something crucial. I would no longer hide the truth, not from myself, not from the people who mattered. The first step was the money. I consulted a lawyer, quietly, carefully. No dramatic courtroom speeches, no yelling matches. Just the facts, documents, and the truth laid bare. He tried to negotiate, of course. Promises. Please. Half-hearted apologies. But I had already stepped outside the bubble of needing his approval, needing his validation, needing him at all. And slowly, painfully, methodically, the money came back. Not all at once. Not without effort. But it came. And with it a small, deep sense of justice. Sometimes justice doesn't roar. Sometimes it comes quietly, one repayment at a time, and that's enough. Then came the public part. Not in the form of gossip. Not in the form of revenge. It was simple. I attended the wedding, the one I had once thought I would never attend, but I didn't go to confront anyone. I went to see my best friend, the one whose betrayal had hurt the most, and the community I'd grown up in. I stood tall, composed, calm. I smiled when people spoke to me. I greeted friends and family, and I let the truth ripple quietly through the room, without raising my voice. Because people notice. People sense things you don't even say. And when they see a woman who has been hurt but walks with dignity, they understand. By the end of the evening, whispers followed me. Not cruel ones. Not judgmental. But observant, respectful murmurs. She's strong. She didn't let it break her. She's still herself. And for the first time, I felt it. I didn't need to fight for people to know the truth. I just needed to live it. The hardest part, though, was forgiveness. Not for them. For me. I had to forgive him, not because he deserved it, not because he had earned it. I had to forgive him to stop carrying the weight of his choices inside me. I said it quietly one night, alone in my apartment. I forgive you. Not for you. For me. Because I deserve peace. And when I said it, I felt a little lighter, a little stronger, a little more whole. The final lesson came quietly over time. I rebuilt. Not overnight. Not perfectly. But steadily. I reconnected with old friends. I re-engaged with my passions. I laughed again, softly, without guilt. I learned that betrayal, as sharp and cruel as it can feel, also teaches. It teaches clarity. It teaches boundaries. It teaches strength. And most importantly, it teaches you that your life, your peace, and your happiness are yours to protect, no matter who tries to take them. I also realized something. Life doesn't always give you dramatic endings or loud justice. Sometimes, the true victory is quiet. It's waking up each day knowing you chose yourself, your dignity, and your future over anyone else's deceit. A new beginning. Months later, I met someone, not because I needed him, but because I had space for love again. A healthy love, grounded in honesty, respect, and calm joy. I could feel the difference immediately. And the difference taught me more than the betrayal ever could. The strongest walls we build for ourselves are not walls to keep people out. They are walls to protect the self we fought so hard to rediscover. And now I live like that. Every day, a little freer. Every day, a little lighter. Every day, a little stronger. Because the truth may wound. The betrayal may sting. But life always offers a way forward, if you are brave enough to step into it. What betrayal teaches us about ourselves? Sometimes, life doesn't give us the endings we expect. It doesn't hand us neat, perfect resolutions, or magical moments of justice that feel satisfying in the movies. Sometimes it gives us a quiet truth, a heavy lesson, and a chance to rise, not over someone else, but over ourselves. I want you to hear me carefully. The person who betrayed you doesn't always fall dramatically. The person who stole from you doesn't always get caught publicly. But the one thing no one can ever steal from you is your strength, once you find it. I found mine slowly, in the quiet moments when I let myself cry, in the evenings when I sat alone and thought about who I wanted to be, in the courage it took to step out of a life that no longer served me and reclaim my dignity. To everyone watching, I want to say this. You are stronger than the people who try to diminish you. You are wiser than the lies that surround you. And no one, no matter how close they were, can take your worth from you. Sometimes, the hardest betrayals teach us the deepest lessons. Sometimes, heartbreak becomes the first step toward healing. And sometimes, stepping away is not giving up, it's choosing yourself. So, I ask you quietly, as I ask myself every day, who in your life deserves your trust, and who is only taking from you? Are you living for yourself, or are you still holding space for someone who doesn't deserve it?
Take a moment.
Reflect, and protect your peace. If you found this story meaningful, if it made your heart ache or taught you something about strength, healing, or boundaries, I invite you to subscribe to Voice of Mrs. Addison. Here, we share real-life stories, family dramas, betrayals, and lessons, all told with honesty, heart, and reflection. And one more thing. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever faced betrayal and had to choose yourself over someone you loved? Tell me your story in the comments. Let's learn, heal, and grow together. Because the truth is, life doesn't just test us, it teaches us. And we all deserve to walk through it stronger than we came.